Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Charlene here. So, today we're going to talk about being a special needs mom and balancing or still having our emotional resilience exist within our lives or within our space. Now, as we all know, being a special needs mom is sometimes takes superpowers, right? Let's be real. There are a lot of things that we experience as a special needs mom that we probably never experienced it with our children who are not special needs. And so I always say that in order for us to have these individuals as our children who are special needs, that God has a special place for all of us because He trusts us above and beyond with giving us these huge responsibilities. And I believe that we try our best to do it with excellence. So I'm here to say we cannot run from an empty cup. So, are there going to be times, or probably a lot of times, where we are just emotionally drained as mom, as a wife, as an employee, as a daughter, as an adult, as a woman, as there are so many responsibilities that are tied to our role? And us as women, we are givers, right? We will give and give and give and give and pour into others until one day we end up in a hospital or we end up in the doctor's office and it's because we can't go anymore. And we had all the red flags. Our body was communicating with us, our mind was communicating with us that something was off, red flags are going off, we weren't feeling well in the process. We were just drained on every possible level you could think of, but we kept on going and going and giving until we got to that point. So I would like to talk to you today about how to really acknowledge that you're on that draining part of your life, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, and really pay attention to your body. I'm going to use the analogy of when an airplane is going down, they always said put the oxygen on ourselves first, and then help the other person. And I'll be honest with you, for many decades, I never really understood that. And I always had the mindset, well, guess what? If there's an emergency, I can't think of myself first. I'm going to think about the next person, or I'm going to think about my children. I'm going to think about my spouse or about a loved one or a family member, until I quickly had to learn I had those red flags and I ended up in the hospital. And guess what? Life went on. My children were taken care of. And I ended up with a whole slew of medical problems. And so I was just running and ignoring the red flags. Now, the same concept apply with your emotional, right? When you have emotional things or baggages that's with us, that's traveling with us, that can create somatic symptoms, right? And so we may have emotional symptoms, but physically feel very ill as a result of it. So I encourage you to start paying attention to those red flags. For example, one tip that I recommend, that I've used for myself since starting my journey about 3+ years ago, on really taking care of myself and trying to maintain this emotional resilience the best that I can, because there will never be for perfection and I will never fully achieve it. But the fact that I'm attempting and I'm halfway there, or sometimes a quarter year to me that is success, is getting up in the morning and spending time with God, doing meditation, praying, and journaling. Those things are very, very important to kind of keep you grounded and to kind of set the momentum for the day. I personally found that the mornings that I got up, jumped out of bed, and were rushing, didn't get an opportunity to really give gratitude, really pray, really do some journal, really think about how my day is going to be, and just already giving God that thanks for the day going as well as expected. I had a very grumpy day. I felt emotionally drained. I felt physically drained, and it was exhausting. And I was moody. I found myself also doing emotional eating, and it just turned out to be a horrible day. So I don't like those days, and I'm pretty sure you don't like those days. So I encourage you that if you can find time to wake up a little earlier than people in the household or your family members, or before you get the kids ready for school or for yourself for work, is really invest in that time, whether it's 30 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. Be intentional about investing that time on yourself and with God to make sure that you are filling your cup. You are doing that form of self care for yourself. and you're grounding yourself and preparing yourself for what is ahead, for the day that's ahead, right? Also, once we are grounded and we are in a better place, our mood is elevated, right? We are more pleasant to be around as a mom, as a spouse, as a friend, as an employee, as a daughter, in any capacity, in any role that we're working with. So, what does that do for the other person that's interacting with us? It creates a harmony, it creates unity. So, I encourage you to really think about that and incorporate it if you are not able to do the full amount of time that you set for yourself, right? Because this is something that is individual, it's personal. So if you say that I want to wake up in the morning and I want this to be 5 minutes, I'm spending to my time, I'm doing my deep breathing, I'm doing my meditation, I'm reading my Bible, whatever you decide to do, if something happens and you're not able to do it, the other thing that I would recommend, because this is like a human behavior, we tend to beat ourselves up, right? We are probably our biggest enemy in many aspects because we self sabotage, right? So if you are not able to do it, you know what? I don't want you to beat yourself up. I want you to acknowledge that you were intentional about doing it and you did not get to do it at that time. The day, we have 24 hours in a day, right? So even if you something happens and it's a mishap and you're not able to do it in the morning, find some time during the day where you can squeeze that time in for yourself. Listen, there were days where I was literally in that position and I found myself sitting on the bathroom floor putting in that time because I realized how important it was for my overall health. It was important for my self care. It was important to fill my cup. It was important for me as an individual to be able to function and be a better parent, a better whatever capacity or whatever role or position I was doing. I needed that to ground me. Some people love going to the gym, right? They go to the gym, the adrenaline is pumping, they feel good, they get all their anger out, they get their thoughts out, they come back out, they're fresh. Some people like taking warm showers. Some people like reading a book. Some people like walking. Whatever works for you is what I recommend that you do to fill your cup. Because at the end of the day, you want to have that emotional resilience. You want to have your cup fill. You want to be able to function to your optimal. Let's be real. When we are feeling on our lows, when we are feeling really that we don't have energy, or when our cortisol level is very, very high and we're very, very stressed, or our central nervous system is just shutting down and basically working against us, right? Or when we find out that we develop some type of illness or disease and it's attacking our autoimmune system, again, working against us, that resistance, it does not feel good and is not healthy. We are looking to strive for emotional resilience. We are looking to strive for that unity and that harmony in everything that we do. And at the end of the day, it is very important to always give gratitude. There is always something to find gratitude in, even in the worst of our situations, right? At the end of the day, yes, we are all going through our macro or micro levels of life stresses that's coming to us or just adulting, right? There are things that we don't expect, whether it's finances, whether it's something in our relationship, whether it's something that our kids are experiencing, and we're not always equipped to deal with it. However, we do have control as a mom, as a special needs mom, to at least be equipped and fill our cup and do self care. So when things do hit us, we'll have a little more balance. It's not going to be perfect. We're not going to hear bad news and not crumble, right? We're not going to hear bad news and not worry. It's the fleshy part of us. It's the emotion part of us. It's how we are built and how we are wired. However, if you are a little more grounded, you are able to better make decisions rather than making emotional decisions, which sometimes, let's be real, as women, when we make emotional decisions, we're emotional creatures. We don't always make the best decisions. So it's really about grounding yourself and trying to make sure that you're functioning at your optimal level in every aspect and emotionally to make those decisions. And trust me, your child is going to see the difference and feel the difference. They're going to feel that you're more present. And that is very, very important to also help our children. Because if our children are seeing chaos or feeling chaos, we all know our children with special needs, they're very, very sensitive to emotions, right? And so if we walk in from a hard day of work and we're feeling stressed, guess what? We can't walk in with that facial expression that says, oh my God, I felt like I got beaten up today. No, when we see our kids, we have to have that smile on our face, right? We have to readjust our posture and our demeanor and our attitude, right? And put everything that we went through during the day kind of like on a back burner for that time that we're greeting our children. And we have to hug them and we have to put a smile on our face to let them know that it is okay. We're happy to see them, and also to create that safe space and safe environment for them. It's very common for us to bring our work environment and our life stresses into the home. And that's very difficult, I would say, to have a balance. However, I go back to saying that if we are intentional about it, whether it's a minute, whether it's 2 minutes, overall it will become a healthier habit into your life, into your space, and into your home and into your environment. So let's wrap up. So you want to make sure that you're in sync with your body, you're listening to your body, you're looking for any red flags. You want to make sure that you have the emotional resilience that you ought to have. This is something that you deserve to have, right? This is something that is normal. You want to put yourself back into homeostasis to be the best version of yourself. So you want to do meditation, you want to find a prayer closet, read the Bible if you're a Christian or whatever religion you are. You read that book that relates to you. You journal about your feelings. Now, journaling could be a prompt journal. They're all over YouTube. Or you can literally write your thoughts down. Sometimes it's difficult to get our thoughts on paper, and one word literally sticks out to us, and write the one word. And sometimes you'll find later on in the day when you sit down and you decide you want to follow up on your journal, that one word kind of like summed up your day and wrapped it up, and it all comes together. So again, I would recommend morning gratitude, morning prayer, journaling, setting aside time for yourself, being intentional, looking for any red flags when it comes to your overall health, your emotional health, your space, taking that time really to get to know yourself. One thing I'm going to add, which I actually just thought about, is us as mom, we lose our identity in our children and our spouse and into life, right? And so really to sit down and think about, while you're being intentional about taking care of yourself, is really to also reground yourself and figure out who you are or who you've become, right? That's a heavy question to ask ourselves. It's a heavy thought, but it will help you in the process, because you would be able to sit back as time progresses and as you improve with the consistency and being intentional about your goals and your personal journey. You're going to realize there are certain weeds in your life or about yourself or people that's in your life that you find is just draining and exhausting to you, and is contributing to this emotional stress that you're feeling in your life. So I encourage you to utilize these tips, try it. Also, I would love to hear from you if you can share at least one thing that you do to maintain your emotional resilience as a special needs mom. And also, please don't forget to sign up for my free 10-day do it yourself guide. It's listed below. And I would love to have you join a free discovery call with me. Thank you so much, and you have a great day.